Good afternoon, everyone. I am super excited because I have one of my favorite authors today, and we're just gonna have a chat. We have known each other for a while, virtually actually, and we just met for the first time, which gotta love technology. Her name is Debra Jason, and she wrote an amazing marketing book, believe it or not, and it's called Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget. Hi, Deborah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited that we get to finally see each other face to face live instead of on Facebook.
That's right. That's right. And we met on a Facebook group, right?
I think it was maybe one of the blogging groups.
Yes, yes, it was.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And you were always blogging and always giving feedback, which was so great. And then our friendship grew from there. And then you wrote the book. And, to be honest, I wasn't really thrilled about it because I'm like, it's a marketing book, There's so many marketing books out there. And because it was yours, I'm like, I'm going to give it a try. And I'm so glad that I did. How is the book doing?
The book is doing fine. It's been sort of a roller coaster of a journey between actually writing the book and then getting out and marketing the book. Because just because you write a book doesn't mean that people are going to go running to the front door and say, I want it, I want it. So it's been exciting. And I kind of liken it to birthing a baby,
Wow.
which I've never done. So I think birthing a baby might be a little bit more painful. But it took me about that long between actually making the decision to sit down and get my ideas out of my head and onto paper and then have a book. An actual book.
Wow.
that
Yeah.
I could hold in my hand.
I know it's a great feeling. It's a huge achievement. I congratulate you. And it's funny that you had to market the book that you wrote about marketing.
Well, I guess I have to show people that I practice what I preach.
Yes, you do. And I know that the book became a bestseller. I saw that, right?
Yes, we did. I did what's called a thunderclap campaign. Which is a very interesting tool for those people that you are connected with in your community who are authors. I highly recommend it. So it was a way for me to really get a broad reach. And I had 130 supporters. But because of all the friends and fans and followers they had, my reach was over 1.4 million. So that was really kind of fun. And it all went out on a certain day at a certain time. And it was great to just watch everybody's messages happening. So yes, it was on Amazon. It's actually on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. But the target was to get it onto Amazon's bestseller list, and we achieved that goal. I did that with the ebook, but I really wanted it with the print book. So that was very exciting.
That is good. Yeah, I remember that. And it's just, people don't realize what happens on the back end. When I wrote my first two books, it was just funny because you think that the hardest thing is writing the book, but that really it is not as easy, but then you have to get it out there.
Right.
That is so funny.
Yes, well, and there's a lot of things that you do to get it out there, just like you market your business. So that's what I've been busy doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know you have. That's why we haven't been able to talk because you've been traveling everywhere. It is so funny. One of the things I have, like I showed you before, my book, it's dog ear everywhere because you have so many amazing things to say. But right off the bat, on chapter 1, you have a quote that I actually live by. And I didn't even know it was a quote. I just always say a version of this. And the quote is by Gail Sheehy or Sheehy. It says, if we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we aren't really living. And I think it's just so interesting because so many people just get up every day, take a shower, go to work or go to their business and then do the same thing day in and day out, but there's no challenge to what they're doing.
Well, and for some people, they're happy with that. And bless them, and they go about their business, and they probably have, a somewhat simple life. And for a lot of people, that's great. So for other people, they want a challenge, and that is something that gets them motivated every day. It's like, okay, how am I going to get my book to be a bestseller?
Right.
And so you have to be open to change. And as you might remember in the book, change is not easy for me. It's taken me a long time to make certain life decisions. And 9 times out of 10, as painful as it could be, usually the result is a new opportunity of some kind, and it's very rewarding. But, it's not always easy going through it.
Yeah, it's not. I know it's not, but you know what? I have learned. You're right. It takes time. I'm 39 now, and more than ever, I'm realizing that going through something is better than trying to go around it. Because when you go through it, that's when you grow. And then when you're through it, you're like, wow, that was not so hard. But when you're going through it, it's really really difficult, right?
Yeah, I think when you're going through it, you would think it's really hard.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background. I know you have a very interesting background. I know you live in Colorado, and you started doing different things. And I know some people might not know how you started, and I would like them to know what your beginnings were.
Okay. So originally, I'm from New York. I was born and raised in New York City, and I came to Colorado in the 70s to go to graduate school. So I went to the University of Colorado at Boulder and got a master's degree in communication disorders. So I know about communication or the lack of it, but I don't have a marketing degree. I was actually a speech therapist for several years and have changed careers several times. However, over the years, I ended up at a catalog company, and that's where I started writing. I started writing short little blurbs about catalog products. And that's somewhere in the 1980s. I'm a bit older than you.
Just a little bit.
So then I went back to New York for a year and a half because I was offered a job back there. And I thought, now I'm going to go live in Manhattan because I grew up in Queens. And being back in New York was just not the same after I'd been in Colorado, where it was gorgeous and beautiful and sunny all the time. So I came back here, and Colorado was in a recession. So I was actually looking for a job, and everywhere I went, people said, we're laying people off. We're not hiring anybody, but if you were to freelance, we could use your services. So on January 1st of 1989, I opened my doors as The Right Direction, and that's spelled WRITE, and started as a direct response copywriter. So for those of you who are good at math, that was more than 26 years ago. So I'm proud to say that I've, had my business for more than a quarter of a century.
Wow.
And what I share in the book is the fact that you don't need a marketing degree. When I started my business, I just knew I had to get my message out there. So that's what I share in the book is how did I get my message out there in such a way that here I am 26 plus years later, still in business. And my business has shifted. Now I'm doing professional speaking a lot more than I'm doing copywriting. And of course, I spent most of 2014 writing a book.
Right. Well, that's a funny thing, though, that you make such a great point. You really don't have to have a degree on that as long as you know what you're doing. And you learn so much, and why not put that into a book? And that's why you're speaking so much, because they know you're an expert, right?
Well, the goal of the book was to sort of pull back the curtains on my business
Right.
and share what I did. So the book isn't about theory. It's really about what I did, things that I have done and still do today to get my message out there, to create a broader reach, to reach more people and inspire, and not just inspire and educate, but to empower them with the tools that they need to go out and do the same thing for their business.
I know. I was so surprised of how much you share. It felt like, and I know that you're an excellent at leading workshops, but it felt like I was in a workshop because you have so many exercises within the book. Like you explain something really simply, and you're like, okay, now go do it. And I really love that format.
Well, the best way I think to learn is to take action. And the sooner you take action, the more that it sort of gets stuck in your head and you remember it. And then, of course, the more that you do it, the better you can get at it. So it just depends on what really works for you, and give it a try. If you find out it doesn't work, then you really haven't lost anything. And if it does work, then you can keep going and take another step and another step.
Yeah, I love that. There's one section in the book, I don't remember what it was, but you said that you can start doing something, and if it doesn't feel right, then you can just erase it and start all over again. And that was just so simple, but so profound, because sometimes we think, okay, I have to do it, and once it's written down, it's set in stone, I cannot change it. In reality, you can just erase it and start all over again.
Well, it kind of depends what it is. If you're talking about social media, for example,
Right.
and you put something out there in the social media universe, even if you delete it, it's already been out there. But if you're writing something, and you might be referring, there's an exercise that I have people do that's all about understanding features versus benefits.
Yes, yes.
And I call it the pencil test.
Mm-hmm.
And so people take a pencil and they talk about the features of a pencil, and then what are the benefits of the pencil. So a feature is that little eraser, that's at the tip of your pencil. Let's see if you could see it,
Mm-hmm.
But the benefit of the eraser is that you can make mistakes, go back, erase it, and start all over again.
Right.
So you can think of certain parts of your life that way.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I love that. And one of the parts here on page 51, you have I wrote down on the margin, lead with the benefits, and you have what will your product do for me, and it refers to your prospect, our customer. List the benefits of your products versus its features. For example, a feature is a 6 1-hour modules, and a benefit will be this program generates 10 new leads for you each week. So sometimes, and I know that I have made that mistake, that when you're creating something, you want to tell them, like, it comes with all these whistles and all these little things, it's going to be great for you. And people are like, I don't care what it comes with. What's in it for me? What is it going to do for me?
right. And it also depends on the product or the service. Something that costs, thousands and thousands of dollars, you're not going to make a sale, let's say online. You're going to need some face-to-face contact. But people want to know what it's going to do for them and how it's going to benefit them. So you really need to talk to people, not at them, and let them know what are those benefits or what are the results. So one of the examples I give is, you can go to a gym and they can show you around the gym. They can show you the pool. They can show you all the weight machines and all that kind of stuff. But they're not the ones who can exercise for you. You have to do that.
Right.
So the only way you'll get the results is to take responsibility for yourself and to implement them.
Absolutely. I just love how you really the book it's a long book. I mean, it's almost 300, about over 250 pages of really awesome stuff, and you really talk about every aspect of marketing. And I love that you talk about social media. And unfortunately, social media has become this thing of, like, I'm gonna shove things in your face. And especially, like, you mentioned a comment of commenting with connecting with people online, and you're really good at that. Like, I remember one time I commented on something that you posted on LinkedIn, and you replied back and say thank you so much. Like, it was just so simple, but it was like you took maybe it took you like what, 30 seconds to just go in and say, oh, I appreciate, thank you, I appreciate that. That was just so awesome, and people don't do that anymore.
Well, one of the things that I talk about now when I speak and when I speak about the book, to me, marketing is about relationships.
Yeah.
It's really about building and nurturing relationships. And when you're talking about social media, well, how do you nurture those relationships? You would do the same thing online that you would do offline. So if someone paid you a compliment face-to-face, you wouldn't just ignore them and turn away.
Right.
So when somebody likes something of mine, or comments or shares, I always do my best to either, if it's just a thumbs up, I say thank you.
Yeah.
If it's a comment, I see if there's some comment I can respond back to. So I can have that conversation and nurture that relationship.
Exactly. And I love another thing that you said, and it's so true, on page 67, that you should check out the person's website and read their blogs and get to know who they are online, and then that you should ask the person how they would like to connect. I get so irritated with so many people that I connect with on Twitter, for example, and then they'll send me a DM message either automatically or they actually write it and they say, oh, we should connect on Facebook too. Now, if we met on Twitter, yeah, maybe I am on Facebook, but I'm not a Facebook person, right? So I do have an account there. I really use it for groups. And I thought it was so thoughtful for you to really remind people that don't assume because you're in Facebook that they want to be in Facebook. Like, take the moment to ask them, how did you like to connect?
Yeah, that's a great way, because one, I think you touched on it a little bit, a lot of people are overwhelmed with social media.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I talk about is you can't be all places at once. And where do you focus your energy? But also, where is your community hanging out? So, maybe you're hanging out on Facebook. Great. Then connect with people there. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Pinterest. But where I spend my most time is probably Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So it's always a good idea to find out where your tribe is hanging out and then spend the time there, as long as you enjoy it. You know,
Yeah,
if you don't
yeah.
enjoy it, then it's not going to be any fun, and you'll probably go, okay, I don't really want to go there today.
Exactly,
So
exactly. That is so true. Um, I love this tip that you gave. Like I really have. I had to pick the ones that I really want to talk about because there's so many
that's
of
okay.
them. But in page 80, you talk about when you are giving people a complimentary session and you want them to return something like an evaluation form. It was so great how you said to just give them something. Like, hey, once you complete this, I will give you a report or I will give you this awesome thing. And then that actually gets people to respond as opposed to just do it for doing it. Like you give them an incentive to respond back. And I thought that was very genius.
Well, like you said, it goes back to having that conversation. So if you're going to go ahead and give something away, you know, then you want to have somebody. It also goes back to responsibility. So, for example, if I do a complimentary session with somebody, I usually send them 4 questions. And if they respond to those questions in a timely manner, it shows me they're committed,
Right.
you know, and that they really do want to take action. Some people don't respond because I do give them a timeline. And then I'm like, you know, this your time is precious and so is mine. So if you're going to give something, you know, make sure you do it in a way that nurtures you and nurtures the other person.
Yeah, it really goes back to if you're gonna have a business as opposed to a job, you want to work with your ideal client and people that if you give them something or you give them homework, because I know when you're a coach, I give my clients homework. I expect it to get done at a certain time, and before I work with someone, how they show up to the appointments or don't show up tells me if they're going to be an ideal client or not. And it's really knowing, do I really want to work with this person because it looks like it's gonna be a problem already.
Yes. Well, I know the best thing, obviously, is to try to determine that before you start working together.
Yeah.
And that's part of the purpose of, you know, having the phone call and then to give them something to fill out because you want to see what their responses are and how you connect. You know, so many people out there think, okay, this person's coming to me. I have to do business with them.
Right.
I hope they choose me. Well, you also have to choose them.
Exactly.
And you want them to be somebody. One of the, you know, the subtitle of my book is about how to attract a steady stream of happy clients.
Yeah.
So if your clients are happy and you're happy, then you probably share the same values and you have a great partnership as opposed to that client, you know, coach relationship. You really have a partnership where you feel like you can share your ideas and that your ideas are respected. Doesn't mean you always agree, but you really respect what one another is sharing.
Yeah, I think when you do that, you both benefit because you have fun as the coach or as the expert, and then the client has fun because they feel like, hey, we are collaborating here, as opposed to then just talking at me.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a collaboration. And even, you know, the coach or the expert or the consultant, they're learning too,
Yeah,
just as much as the client or the customer or the student is, you know, it's a two-way street.
for sure. One of the things that you said earlier is that you're doing more professional speaking now, and I know that in the book you have a section that says "Don't wait to be asked." So, how did you decide to say? I know that you talk about it in the book, and maybe people haven't read it yet, but how do you make that leap from saying I'm gonna speak, and on top of that, I'm not gonna wait until they ask me?
Well, you know, one of the ways that I've marketed my business since day one is by speaking. What did I do? You know, just because you say I want to speak doesn't mean people are going to start banging on your door. So I started to reach out when I was at events. You know, I got very involved also in the Chamber of Commerce here locally. So I did a lot of presentations for them. I was also very involved in another organization called the Rocky Mountain Direct Marketing Association. So I did presentations for them. And eventually, the more that you do that, the more that you start to reach out and ask, and then you start to speak, people start to come to you and say, you know, either I heard you speak somewhere, or you were speaking and someone heard you and they referred you to me. So,
Exactly.
you know, the way that I get most of my business is from referrals and word of mouth. And when I speak, for example, most of the time, if I remember, which is 99.9% of the time, when I'm done speaking, before I get off the stage, I'll say, you know, the best business I get is word of mouth. If you enjoyed this presentation and you know of a company or an organization that would benefit from my presentation, I'd love for you to share that with me, and I will follow up with them. So, you ask. I have a colleague who says, if you don't ASK, then you don't GET.
I love that.
So, the worst that can happen is someone says no.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I will say this. There's a lot of times I'll spend time on the phone calling people and either get voicemails or, I think I have a connection with them, but then they tell me they don't remember that they got the information. And it can be tiring and it can be frustrating. And sometimes it can be discouraging. So, there are days you have to just sort of take a deep breath and go, okay, hang up the phone, pick it up again, and the next person could be the one who says yes.
Exactly. That is a great thing. And I think people have to know that you're not gonna get paid every time. But sometimes you don't even have to get paid because you're gonna get clients from that speaking engagement, or you're gonna have book sales, or you're gonna get other speaking engagements that will be paid ones. So I think people also need to know that the pay excuse me, that the pay engagements will come, but at first you might have to speak for free.
When you first get started, yeah, there's a phrase out there calling from free to fee.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, and it depends. Maybe that's not your goal. There are people I know out there who like to speak but don't really want to be professional speakers. That's okay. There are a lot of people who would like to speak, but they're scared to death to do it. In which case, I suggest that they go to Toastmasters.
Yes.
Because Toastmasters would be really good to help you boost your confidence if you want to speak. If you don't want to speak, that's okay. Nobody's twisting your arm to do so. But I think it's the most fun way to market yourself because one, you're just out there sharing information. Two, people get to hear you and you're not giving any hard sell pitch. You're just sharing your knowledge. So people see that you're a credible, viable person. And it's one step to developing that know, like, and trust because they get to just listen to what you have to share.
Right. And automatically you get established as a thought after leader, as someone that knows what they're talking about because you're on the platform and they think, hey, somebody put her there or put him there for a reason. They must know what they're talking about. And most of the time people do, but it really helps that perception of, wow, not only does she have a book, but she's speaking on stage. She knows what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as, you do know what you're talking about. I have heard speakers where you're sitting there and you're going, I could be doing something else. And so 9 times out of 10, most of the speakers I hear are awesome. And I learn something actually every time I go hear someone speak about what they're speaking about, but also about speaking styles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There are some things that you can pick up and say, oh, wow, I can make that my own, or, oh, wow, I do that too. Maybe I should stop doing that, for sure.
Yeah, there's always something new to learn. I'm a big believer in that. Every day there's something new to learn.
Absolutely. So just to wrap up, before we tell my viewers and listeners where they can get your book and learn more about you, what is one thing about marketing that you want people to know before we wrap up?
One thing about marketing is it's fun. You don't have to be afraid of it. I've had a lot of people recently, when they see the book, they go, oh, I can't stand marketing. So you can look at, what do you like to do? There is probably something out there that you enjoy that you can use as a marketing tool. So for me, it's speaking, but maybe you like connecting, so getting involved in an organization. So don't be afraid to market yourself. I think people get stuck in the idea of, oh, I have to sell. And yes, sell is a 4-letter word, but it's not a bad 4-letter word. We all need to do it unless we're independently wealthy. We all have bills to pay. So take a different mindset about it. Look at it in a different way and go, okay, I just need to share who I am, how I help people, and then I can relax about it and realize that not everyone is going to share your message.
Absolutely. And it's not important. Yeah. And it's not really selling. When you think about it that way, when you think about, I am just giving a solution, when you think I get to help someone, like I don't get to sell someone, I get to help someone, it really takes the edge off of having to sell and really making that connection and truly say to that person, I can help you.
Yes. And when you're authentic and genuine and share with enthusiasm, people are drawn to that. And I like to say, you probably have heard this, when you are interested in other people, they'll find you interesting. And the more that happens, the more they'll start to resonate with your message and naturally say, oh, how do I work with this person?
Exactly. That is so awesome. So where can they find you online, and where do you like to hang out, and how do you like to connect with people?
So there's a few places you can find me online. If you're interested in my speaking services, that's DebraJason.com, and it's Debra, Debra Jason, JASON.com. As a freelance direct response copywriter, I have a writing website, which is WriteDirection.com, WRITE, WriteDirection.com. Where I hang out most is Facebook and Twitter. Facebook and LinkedIn, and then Twitter. So I have a program that I teach. It's all about LinkedIn, so you can find me there as well. And then for those who are interested in the book is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. If you want an autographed copy of the book, then you can get that directly through me at Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring.budget.com.
That is awesome. Can you hold up the book again? Because mine, it's
sure.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestringbudget.com. And when you order it from the website, then you get an autographed copy of the book. And I also include a gold shoestring.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
So you don't get the gold shoestring on Amazon or Barnes.
No, you don't. Or the autograph, which is worth a lot.
Or the autograph.
I gotta say, guys, I know that the book might look intimidating because it's a lot of pages, but really, it's a page turner. Mine is, like I said, dog ear everywhere because the stuff it's light, has a lot of anecdotes and quotes from different people that I connected with that are amazing within the book. And it's stuff that, like she said, is really on a shoestring budget. You really can do and implement these things with very little or no money at all. So I really encourage people to go get it. Now that I know that you can get it autographed and you get a gold shoestring, I would say get it from Deborah's website. So it was Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestringbudget.com.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. This is way too much fun. We're going to have to do it again. And hopefully, I haven't been to Colorado yet, but that's on my list. So hopefully we'll be able to hang out. I told you that I would love to go to one of your workshops because I know they're amazing.
Well, let me know when you're here. We'll certainly connect. It's always fun to finally meet somebody in person. I mean, this is great on Skype. But when you meet face-to-face, person-to-person, it takes the relationship to a whole nother level. It's really fun.
It sure does. I just want to thank you for your time. And I really want to encourage my viewers and my listeners to please check out the book. Check out your website, therightdirection.com. It's really funny. You have great stories there. And again, your stuff is easy to read. I mean, I just cannot say that enough because some people know what they're doing, but when they explain it, it's not as easy to follow. So I love that you know what you're doing, but you also make it fun for the reader. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being such a great fan and a supporter. I certainly appreciate it. And thank you for having me here and joining your community today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that we will do it again too. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Catherine. Okay. Bye-bye.